I was on the market again looking for an iPad. I remember I used to own the iPad mini and the original iPad that had come out. And Apple's iPads have come a long way since they initially started. And when I went back into the market to purchase an iPad, there's so many iPads now, so many different types with very little changes. Initially, I had purchased the latest iPad Air. I went ahead and returned it, and then I went ahead and I got the 11-inch iPad Pro. So in this video, I'm going to talk about why I returned the iPad Air and I stuck with the 11-inch iPad Pro, and why I think it suits most people's needs, and if you're choosing between the several different iPads, and why this one most likely will fit your needs. So stay tuned. So at the time of my purchase, the iPad Air 4th Gen was not released, so the only one available was the iPad Air 3rd generation. So that is my initial purchase, which I had done prior to buying the iPad Pro 11-inch. Now this iPad Air came with a 10.5-inch Retina display with true tone colors, a A12 Bionic chip with neural engine, and it was compatible with the Smart Keyboard but not the Magic Keyboard. It also had a 8 megapixel wide angle camera. Now realistically speaking, I don't use my iPad to take pictures. At most I'll scan documents, so I don't really care much about the camera. And it also had the familiar Touch ID. Now, one main reason why I couldn't keep this iPad Air is the lightning connector. I feel like with all these devices coming out with USB-C, it felt really outdated. Face ID is the new norm, so Touch ID made it feel really outdated. And the bezels, I mean, the thick white bezels around the iPad, I couldn't get past that. So despite it being very light, very efficient, fast, and it could get the job done, but I chose not to stick with the iPad Air and ended up returning it. So I was left in a position where I had to make a very difficult decision, and it was not easy. So the decision was to wait for the upcoming iPad Air 4th generation, or just go ahead and purchase the iPad Pro 11-inch, which was available for sale. So after thinking for a while and weighing the pros and the cons, I just went ahead and purchased the 11-inch iPad Pro. And I can say without any hesitation, it was a good decision. So the second generation 11-inch iPad Pro comes with a 11-inch liquid retina display, Pro Motion technology, and true tone colors. It has a super fast A12Z Bionic chip, and it's compatible with the Magic Keyboard and the Smart Keyboard Folio. Keyboard compatibility has become a major issue for people that purchase the iPad because they want to use the new Magic Keyboard. So for me, keyboard compatibility was one consideration that I took into factor while purchasing this iPad. And one other thing I wanted to mention was that this iPad is compatible with the 2nd gen Apple Pencil. So it actually magnetically attaches to the side of the iPad. Now this iPad is compatible with third-party stylus pens, which is the one I use. I did not go ahead and spend over $100 on Apple's Pencil because I didn't think it provided any additional benefit. So I went ahead and purchased a third-party pencil that works with this iPad, and I've been happy with it. So I'll have a review coming up on that, and make sure you check out the links in the description box below. Now this 11-inch iPad Pro comes with a 12 megapixel wide camera angle and a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera. So it's really good for taking pictures, but like I said in the earlier of the video, I don't use my iPad to take pictures. But for those of you that do, you have very good camera lens. Now it comes with a USB-C connector, which is amazing because I can go ahead and transfer files now, which I couldn't do with the earlier iPad. Now the iPad has 600 nits max brightness, which is really bright. And one thing I have noticed over the years is that Apple has started adding a fingerprint resistant coating. Now this coating actually has reduced the fingerprints, and I wasn't aware that Apple was adding this to their iPads, but over the years, as I've used the iPads from the first generation to this iPad, I've noticed a big difference. I mean, you'll still get fingerprints over time, but it takes a longer time to get any fingerprints on your iPad. Now, it is a fully laminated display and it has a anti-reflective coating. The anti-reflective coating is something I always wanted on my tech products because I usually sit by the window and the sun reflects on my MacBook or my iPad or my iPhone, and sometimes it becomes really hard to see. So this anti-reflective coating has really helped out and does make a huge difference. This is really subjective, but I love the iPad Pro design. The square design just looks amazing. I know some of you are a fan of the rounder design. I've been a fan of the iPhone 4 and the iPhone 5. So since the iPad Pros look like the iPhone 4s and the 5s, I just love the design. And I can't put this in words, but it is super light. So it's literally like holding pieces of paper in your hand. It's not heavy at all. So I think it weighs about a pound, which is not much. And my Folio Touch is what really adds the weight to it. Now, if I use an iPad, I prefer using a keyboard. It makes your life easier using the iPad. So I got this Logitech Folio Touch, which I think is a smart buy compared to the expensive keyboard case that Apple is selling. And it gets the job done. It looks really sleek, it's slim. And if you haven't already, check out my review on the Folio Touch as well. I also went ahead and purchased a third-party pencil from Apple, which magnetically attaches to the iPad if you require, so I just leave it attached to the keyboard case, and it works just as good as the Apple Pencil. So I'll be having a review coming up on that. If you're interested in purchasing this, I'll leave the affiliate link. Lastly, I went ahead and got the Apple headphone jack adapter. So sometimes I don't have my AirPods Pro on me, or my batteries have died, or I'm trying to preserve the batteries on my AirPods Pro. I got this adapter if I'm watching Netflix or watching some videos. I can just connect this and use my existing headphones. I never thought I would be saying this, but it's much more fun to use than a MacBook Pro. I know this sounds silly, but the Apple Pencil and the keyboard and the touch functionality, it's a much better user experience. But in terms of practicality, let's say if you're thinking that an iPad can replace your MacBook Pro, no, it cannot. There's a lot of functions that you can do on your MacBook Pro that you can't do on the iPad Pro. Like, let's say for example, I am editing. It's much easier to do it on a MacBook Pro compared to video editing on the iPad Pro. But there's a lot of functions that you can perform on it, but I would still say it does not replace a MacBook Pro. We're just not there yet. We might be there in the future, but as of now, we're not there yet. So that's it for today's video, guys. I just love the 11-inch iPad Pro. When I shoot my videos, I could have went out and bought a monitor to monitor myself, but I chose to get the 11-inch iPad Pro and monitor myself that way because it's multifunctional. I can do other things besides just monitoring myself. And so that was one of the main reasons I got it. And since the processor is so strong, I can do so many different things. If I want to edit thumbnails, edit videos, play video games, watch videos, I can do so many things with this 11-inch iPad Pro, which is the main reason why I got it. And it seems like for now it's future-proof. Like the bezels are very, very thin compared to the iPad Air, which looked so outdated. And this is just a different experience. When you use it, you feel a lot happier. Design-wise, it's really nice, and functionality and performance-wise, it's really nice. And like I mentioned this in the video, you can basically hold the iPad Pro with just one hand. I couldn't do that with any of the older iPads since they were so heavy. So that's how far Apple has come with their iPads. So overall, I'm really happy with my purchase. I think it's worth every penny. And if you guys are interested in purchasing this as well, I'll leave the affiliate link in the description box below. What do you guys think? Which one's the best iPad to purchase? The iPad Pro, Air, or the basic iPad? Leave your comments below. I'm interested in listening. So that's it for today's video, guys. I hope it helps you out. If it has, don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, see you guys.